Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your Manchester United versus Liverpool FA Cup quarter-final preview. No excuses, we go, we win, and we get into the semi-final and we keep this train going. I don't think there are any excuses. I'm going to get into why it's a massive game. I think we all know that. No doubts about it. But look, there are some big decisions that Ten Hag has got to make around how he constructs this team. This is one I would construct. What he will do, I don't think it's as simple as that. I don't think that even will be the team, if I'm being honest with you. But look, Liverpool come with such enormous expectation. They're one of the best teams in the league at the moment, and we certainly aren't that. So why the confidence and why no more excuses? Why would it not be expected to lose against Liverpool on Sunday? Well, I'll tell you why about that as well. Also, reminds me to talk about Marcus Rashford being called up for the England squad. A lot of people talking about that breaking news. He's in the squad. I'll tell you why I think that. Well, I'll talk about that in a minute, but there's so much to get into. We've also got an update on Dan Ashworth, Jadon Sancho, and a little bit about Mason Greenwood as well. Also want to talk a bit about Onana, which we'll probably bring into that in a moment. Your podcast with Loz is absolutely brilliant, mate, says Mario Franco, who's given our first super chat. Legend, Mario. That dropped about an hour ago. If you're interested in that, basically just on my channel, I've left a link in the video description. It's called Creating a Monster, the story of football fan content, which is actually quite well timed at the moment, considering all the death threats and everything that's been going on at the moment and all the negativity. It's quite an interesting insight. I enjoyed making it. You can check that out. But no, let's check out the preview. This is Manchester United against Liverpool. Why are there no excuses, Mark? You want Ten Hag to stay, so why are you hyping up this game? Because it's Manchester United against Liverpool. It's the massive game, and I'm fed up of this season, and I'm fed up of the negativity, I'm fed up of the moaning. Man United against Liverpool happens twice a season, 3, 4 times if you're really lucky. This is a massive game. It's in the cup. It's all we've got left. It's at Old Trafford. They're our biggest rival. We've got players back. Why the hell are we writing this off and saying it's a free hit? It doesn't matter if we don't win. These are the sort of games where I look at it from the manager to the players and I go, I don't care what form we're in, we go into this. I always use this against Liverpool. 99, treble style. We went to Anfield around the end of the season. I think it was sort of April, might have been May actually. And we only won the title on the final day. We had to beat Spurs at Old Trafford. Otherwise, Arsenal could have won the league. So it was the league games we were playing in April and May was still really important. Like, we won the league on the final day in the treble season. We go to Anfield. We're 2-0 up. They're not very good. They're not a very good Liverpool side. We're 2-0 up. And I think they scored a goal for what should have been a foul or on Dennis Irwin, or maybe he got sent off. I can't remember. Something happened with Dennis Irwin anyway. I think Paul Ince equalised. They celebrate Liverpool and Anfield celebrated like they'd won their treble. I don't think they won anything that year. It shouldn't have happened. We were way better than them. But at their place, they got up for it and they got a result. There are no excuses for this team or Ten Hag to not go into that game at Old Trafford on Sunday with Old Trafford behind them and get a result. And that's simply what I'm talking about, no excuses. We can talk about the tactics, we can talk about the lineup now, but I'm just saying this is Man United against Liverpool. It's a massive game. It's at Old Trafford. I don't care whether they're better than us. Anybody that's watched these games over the years knows it doesn't matter whether they're better than us. It doesn't matter whether we're better than them. When we go to Anfield, whatever the Liverpool team is, it's tough. And when they're coming to us, we can knock them out the cup and we can ruin their title race. We play them in April as well in the league. So we need to go into this game and be absolutely up for it. And I was talking about this morning. The only way we can beat Liverpool, because they are better than us. They are better than us. Of course they are. Klopp's built something over 8 years that has been amazing. They are better than us for many reasons at the moment. But you can only beat them if you are unified. You must be together. I don't want to look around that pitch on Sunday and see individuals. I want to see a collective. I want to see everybody together, because that's how you beat a team better than you. You've got to be better than them collectively as a team. And that's something that we failed at this season. So look, I'm up for this. I can't wait for it. I'm really excited about it. I'm going to give you my preview. I'm going to give you my score prediction at the start. I'm going to say Manchester United are going to win. I'm going for a Manchester United win. I don't care. The Goldbridge Saves Football podcast is out in a bit. We've got Loz on that. And, it got a little bit heated because although we get on well, I remembered this is Liverpool against Man United. There are no quarters to be given. This is the best rivalry in football, and therefore you've got to get on it. You've got to get on the rivalry. You can't go into this game thinking, can't wait for United to lose this so I can go in on Ten Hag. That's not being a United fan. I don't like those words, but that's not being a United fan. Every United fan, no matter what they think about the manager, what they think about the players, whatever, if this game hasn't got you revved up and wanting a Man United win, you might want to question what's happened to your support, because it doesn't matter. In a game like this, it doesn't matter. It could be 11 players you don't even want to play for your club. You still get behind them. It's so big. So let's talk about the game itself. Well, look, I'll talk to you about Liverpool. Obviously, watch them against Man City last weekend. I mean, this is scary, right? Against Man City, they had 19 shots. Against Man City, the best team in the world at the moment, they had 19 shots. In the Carabao Cup final against Chelsea, they had 23, and against Luton, they had 29. That's just selected last few games. They're going to get a lot of shots off. That's what they do. They are a very creative side, so they're going to do that. But on the other hand, we have played them once this season. We got a 0-0 draw at their place. So, look, they're going to be creative. That's one thing. When you look at what their away form is, away from home, in the away league, they are actually, I wrote this down somewhere, they've won 8, they've drawn 2, and they've won 8, they've drawn 4, and they've lost 2. In fact, they've taken 28 points away from home this season, which puts them in third place behind Man City and Arsenal, who've taken 29 points away from home this season. But of course, Liverpool fans will say you're missing something, Mark. You've put down that we lost 2 games. One of those was the Spurs game where they were robbed, and therefore they've got a very good away record, let's be honest. 24 goals scored away from home, 14 conceded. Man United at home this season, 21 goals, 20 conceded. So Liverpool's away record's better than our home record in relation to goals and conceded. Look, last time out it was 0-0. Liverpool come into it massive favourites. Of course, I'm reading out league stats. This is a cup game. Is there anything different, actually? Is there anything different between a cup game and a league game? There's a question for the chat. And anybody who's not watching, get your comments in. Do you think we ignore league form coming into a game like this? Because it's a question that I haven't heard anybody speak about this week. And I actually think that there is a difference. I think there really is a difference, because I think that in the league, you might be looking at it going, well, a point's not a bad result. For both teams. If it was Liverpool, they might go, a point at Anfield, a point at Old Trafford's not a bad result. They'll want to win, but they'll approach it differently. Man United at home to Liverpool, we might go, a point's not a bad result. But in a cup game, there is an outcome, and nobody goes into a cup game really playing for penalties. So I think there is a different mentality with a cup game. With a cup game, the focus is more on the win, whereas in the league, a draw's not necessarily a bad result. So I think that's really important to remember, that nobody really talks about that, but there is a big difference between a cup game and a league game, because a league game, you just don't really want to lose. So therefore you might protect your goal a little bit more and say, today's the day to take a draw, it's not our day. Whereas in a cup game, you can't really go, today's not our day, let's just sit back, because you've got to try and do something. So I think there's more onus to win in a cup game than there is necessarily in a league game. Ollie says, I'm Ten Hag in, but that doesn't mean we cannot criticise him. I can compare Klopp's second season at Liverpool, where he was also riddled with injuries. I don't think you can, personally, because I could compare it to Arteta's second season. I mean, what's unique about Liverpool's second season to Man United's second season? I think at the end of the day, the only thing I would be taking away from this Liverpool team in comparison to Ten Hag and Manchester United is give a manager structure, give a manager players, give a manager time, and you end up with what Jurgen Klopp's built and what I think Arteta's building. At some point, United have got to do that, whether it's with Ten Hag or not. But look, back onto the game. Injuries for Liverpool, well, they do have a few. There will be no Alisson, there will be no Trent, there will be no Gravenberch, there will be no Jota. But Salah, as we saw, came on in the second half against Man City. He's going to be starting this game after another week, isn't he? I don't know what this... Actually, somebody said this to me. What do you think about Thursday night football? for Aston Villa. Well, what Sky? What? He said, she said. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Aston Villa. They're playing tonight. I was just about to look at. I thought it was Friday. I'll be honest, put my hand up, I thought it was Friday. I was just about to go on and check what their team was last night. It's Thursday today. They are playing tonight. They are playing at home. They've got a very good lead against Sparta Prague. I would expect that Klopp goes ridiculously weak. Apparently Gravenberch might be back, according to OK. Well, OK, but my point is that Konate and Salah are expected to be back. So they'd still put a very good team out. You're going to see Van Dijk and Konate. Obviously, they've got their midfield. They've got Salah. They've got Diaz. They've got Nunez. They're a good team. They're a really good team, and they're gonna get at us. And I think that brings us on to how we approach this game and how we, the sort of style of play that we implement into this game. And I think that it's a tough one for Ten Hag because if you go to the Anfield game, Bruno was suspended and we got a 0-0 with Amrabat, Mainu and McTominay as a midfield three. And we basically went there to park the bus. And we were right to do that. We were absolutely right to do that. I mean, it was amazing that we actually took a point. But at Old Trafford against Liverpool, I see two glaring problems here. One, you want to pack that midfield, and Bruno in that midfield and Mainu in that midfield and Casemiro in that midfield could get overrun. So do you play Scott McTominay? And if you play Scott McTominay, do you start Højlund? Or do you put him on the bench? Or do you drop Garnacho or Rashford because you're going to be accommodating Bruno on the right? So I think decision one for Ten Hag is what he does with that midfield, because it gets overrun more likely if you put Bruno in there instead of McTominay. And we saw that in the Manchester derby, and we saw it last week. Everton's midfield's quite strong, and he put McTominay in there as another combative player. Does he dare put Bruno, Mainu and Casemiro up against Liverpool and then have Garnacho, Rasmus and Rashford as his front three? Is that too open? Is that too attacking? Or will he put Bruno on the right or as a false nine and drop McTominay into the team, in which case we might not see Rasmus start. We might not see him start. So that's a big call. And the chat's getting mad, but Moz is right. He says Bruno false nine again. I think that's a big call. It's a tactical call. And it's very easy to say Rasmus has got to start. Rasmus has got to start. But I also look at things tactically and say, we're playing Liverpool. I don't want McTominay to start over Rasmus. Of course I don't. But I also appreciate that we've got no depth in our midfield. I mean, to be honest, against Liverpool, I would like to be playing Casemiro, Declan Rice, and somebody else, who's combative in that midfield. I would. I'd like to be doing that, but we don't have that. We've got Casemiro, an 18-year-old, and Scott McTominay. And that's the only three we can really put out. You're not going to put Amrabat in a game like this. So, yeah, that's decision one. And I'd keep an eye out on that. Decision two really comes down to what he does with the fullbacks. I've got Wan-Bissaka and Dalot there. He might stick with Dalot at right back and start Lindelof. I think that is footballing suicide. Who plays on the right wing for Liverpool? Oh, it's only the best right winger in the world. Certainly the best right winger in the Premier League. Mo Salah cannot be allowed to be left on his own with Lindelof. If you want an analogy, Salah being left on his own with Lindelof is like leaving a chicken with a lion who's not eaten for a week. It will be a bloodbath and it will be over very, very quickly. So, and that's no disrespect to Lindelof. None at all. I think he's admirably stepped up and took one for the team. But yeah, you can't do that. You can't do that. Lindelof is not a fullback, and Mo Salah is the best right winger in the league. I think that's, well, he could do that. That's what I'm saying. What's he going to do at fullback? For me, and again, it comes down to fitness. What if Wan-Bissaka's not ready? In which case, you're going to have to do that. But I would go Wan-Bissaka right back, Dalot left back, because it gives us two fullbacks, and that's where Liverpool is strong, Diaz and Salah. And then the third thing for me is what he's going to do at centre-back. Now, I've put Harry Maguire in there. People are going to be going mad saying, what about Johnny Evans? What about Johnny Evans? Well, it depends how we're going to play here, because there is a school of thought that you do what you did against Man City you play with that false 9 and you drop deep and you play on the edge of your box and you compact your team. There is a school of thought of doing that, and what would that would entail would be you could play Johnny Evans, you could play Varane, you could play McTominay in the midfield, you could play Bruno as the false 9 dropping into the midfield, and you play very, very compact and you play very, very narrow, and you say to Liverpool, try and play through us, and then you try and hit them on the break. You could do that. The problem with that is it's a cup game, and the second problem is it's Old Trafford. If we play against Liverpool and we play deep and compact and counter at Old Trafford and we lose 1-0, people will go, it was a cup game, why didn't you have a go? In the league, people might put up with it, but in a cup game, they'll go, why are we parking the bus at home? Why are we doing that? We should have a go. It's a cup game. No one expected us to win anyway. And I think that prevents us doing that. I think that prevents us going compact. So I think what we have to do is try and get up the pitch. And if you're going to try and get up the pitch, I would imagine Maguire is the man to play, because I would, he's a little bit more used to doing that. I mean, I know he's not totally comfortable at doing it, but he's a little bit more used to playing higher up the pitch. And therefore, Maguire comes into the game for me, unless you're going to play Lindelof and Varane, which I don't think he would, although maybe he could play Lindelof, who's more mobile. So I think I want to see us play higher up the pitch because it's a cup game. I think I want to see us higher up the pitch because it's at Old Trafford, but there are risks to that. But I also think as well, it's really important that why can't we play a little bit higher up? It's Old Trafford, it's a cup game, and we want to be implementing our game on them. We've also spent £50 million on a sweeper keeper who, and I want to take a moment to say this about Onana. Has anybody noticed over the last few weeks, no one talks about when we do the predicted lineup that Onana's starting? We had about 3 months from maybe late October to January where every week people were saying I wouldn't start Onana, I'd start Bienda. I mean, it's a credit to him that for the last few weeks, no one's doing that anymore. So I'm not saying he's the finished article, and I'm not saying we can all rest assured that we've bought a £50 million goalkeeper who's brilliant. I still think that, we might be on a bit of thin ice with that. But what I will concede is that he's done an admirable job in recent weeks, and the focus hasn't been on him. And as a goalkeeper, that means you're doing a good job, because as a goalkeeper, when the focus is on you, it's because you're making mistakes. There's not a lot of focus on a goalkeeper when they're doing their job, and he is doing his job well at the moment. And I would like to see us do that in a cup game. Why not let Onana stand on the edge of his box, push the line up, and if they want to ping balls over the top, Onana can run onto them. So I think that, I don't think we should be sitting back against our Liverpool. It is a cup game, and we want to try and implement the way that we want to play onto them, surely. So, yeah, I mean, look, that's the team I've gone with. Onana, Wan-Bissaka at right back, Dalot at left back, Maguire, Varane, Casemiro, Mainu and Bruno, and Garnacho, Rashford and Højlund. And I think for a cup game, that's the right way to go. We've thrown a few barriers up to that. You might play deep and compact. You might throw McTominay into the midfield and go with a false 9 of Bruno, or put him on the right wing. But at the end of the day, it's a cup game. We're trying to win. Why not try and win the game? We know we're a better team with Rasmus at the front. So we know we're a better midfield with Mainu and Casemiro and Bruno in it. That's our best midfield. It can be overrun, but it's our best midfield. That's our best front three. Let's try and win the game. And, all right, you could put McTominay in a midfield 3. You could play Bruno as a false 9, and you could pretend that Rasmus isn't ready and put him on the bench. But we are so much better with Rasmus in the team. He leads from the front. The press works better. It inspires those behind him if he's doing all the running from the start. So I think Rasmus has to start this game of football. And I think we've got to try and go on the front foot. As I said, if it was a league game, maybe I'd be a little bit different, but it's not. It's a Premier League, it's an FA Cup game. I think we've got to try and go for it. I know we won't do it, but Amrabat's better than Bruno, says Kyle. Gag says, what about Mount? Great to have him back for Bruno as a competition. I don't know. I mean, I think that's a great point, but I don't think that Mount's back for this game. Delboy, who's a member, big up the members. Get your badge in. Thanks very much for your support. Says, pushing high with Maguire is asking for a ball over the top. It is, Delboy. But that's why I'd be saying to Onana, just get on the edge of your box. I accept. Are we going to change the way we play because of one player? And we've done that enough this season. This is a cup game. I think we've got to try and score goals. Mark, when Liverpool are in their bad time, they still have to fight against our good side. This United team don't have that. That's the difference, says Jay. Thank you very much for that, Jay. I'm hoping that Evans starts over Maguire. It makes me so much sense in my mind. I think realistically speaking, we won't win this game. Doesn't mean we shouldn't fight. It's a cup match. Surely we're going to, says Focus. Mate, the crowd on Sunday is going to be huge. If those players think, oh, you know, maybe we don't fight for this one, I don't think they will, but the fans aren't going to allow that to happen. We've had some embarrassing results against Liverpool as well in recent years. If you think about the Ollie pounding at Old Trafford and Ten Hag's pounding at Anfield last year, you know, we've got to be very, very careful of that. But, you know, that can't happen. David says Malacia at left back. Mate, if you've seen Malacia, please let Ten Hag know. I mean, he ain't back, mate. I don't know what you're talking about, Malacia. He ain't back. Nothing else matters, says Red Devil. This game is so much more than any silly negativeness. Even the Glazers' negativity doesn't come close to how massive this game is. And Neil Evans says, take a bite from the reality pie. We can't attack Liverpool. We are just not there yet. Let's go toe-to-toe and break on the counter. In the end, they have to come on to us, says Neil Evans. And Maguire is slow. I worry he pushes too far forward and breaks our defensive shape, says Del Boy. And enjoyed the pod with Loz. Looking forward to more of those, says Charlton. Yeah, well, I'll give that a shout out in a minute. Start with Rasmus, give him 45 and bring on Bruno on the second half, says Simon. And I don't think we'll ever see Malacia again, says Just Kevin. Yeah, look, I don't think Malacia is a very good left back anyway. I've said it. I don't think he is. I think we sometimes have obsessions about players that aren't available. Before Mason Mount got injured, he was getting a load of stick of not being a good signing. He goes missing for 6 months and suddenly he's the saviour. I think when something's not there and you're not doing very well, you lament the thing that's not there. Malacia, when he was fit, wasn't that good. There was a lot of question marks about him. He was a developmental signing and he's missed a year of development. So, you know, to me, if Malacia could get back, it would be interesting. I'm not convinced he'd play ahead of Delo at left back anyway. You know, let's not pretend he was like the next Roberto Carlos. Nobody had a bloody clue about how good Malacia was, and we saw him for a whole year last year. So, yeah, I get it with Ahmad. I want to see him given some minutes. I get it with Mason Mount. I've seen what Mason Mount can do, and we need to see that in a Man United shirt. But Malacia coming back, I don't think it would suddenly make me think, yes, we're going to climb the league. I think he's a big question mark. And to be honest with you, he's a big question mark about his future anyway. I mean, there are some serious conversations going on about, you know, why he's not been available for the whole season. I mean, what player does that? And the thing about Malacia that's very interesting is that he actually got injured last May. So there's not many footballers that are out for 12 months. That's a whole year is a very long time. Very long time. We need to see Malacia is... No, we can't read that. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to go for a Man United win. Get your comments in. What are your thoughts on how this game goes? Look, some people say we've got to sit back and counter against Liverpool. We might do it. We might do that. There's a few interesting things he might do. It's not set in stone that Wan-Bissaka starts at right back and Delo goes to left back. It's not set in stone that Rasmus starts, and it's not set in stone that he might start McTominay, and maybe he will start Johnny Evans as well, who has been fantastic. So yeah, look, I'm going to go with the Man United win. I've just got a feeling we're going to win 1-0. I've got a feeling Man United are going to win this game, and I know I'm in the minority. And yes, I'm probably consumed by rivalry and love for United and not wanting to lose to Liverpool and wanting to knock them out, that sometimes you can start to believe things and fantasize things. But no, I'm going to go with the Man United win. And ultimately, who gives a shit? We're Manchester United. If we're going to lose, we're going to lose. But that'll happen on Sunday. On the run up to it, I'm positive we can win this game. I want no excuses. I don't think we should be putting up excuses. It's a cup game. It's Liverpool. I've seen crap Liverpool teams beat us, and I've seen crap United teams beat them. So why can't it happen? I think we can do this. Because we're playing in Old Trafford, we have to attack, and because of that, midfield will get overrun, says Viraj. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. Cloud says we're going to get done 7-0. Mate, if we get done by 7-0, then Ten Hag has to go. You know, you can walk into that ambush once, but you can't walk into it twice. I said this about the Man City game. We're not going to get turned over 6 or 7-0. It just won't happen because it's happened before. So you can't excuse it again. We will not get turned over 6 or 7-0 at Old Trafford. That's just not going to happen. And if it did happen, I'd be sacking Ten Hag and all the fucking players as well. That's just not acceptable. You know, that's a one-off. That shouldn't happen again. I'm with you. I've got a good feeling about the game, says Rob. Great stuff. And we have to take advantage of Liverpool playing tonight, says just Keevan. Yeah, but how many of them will play tonight? They've got a massive lead in that Europa League game. I don't think many of them will play tonight. Let me give you some of the news as well. So Marcus Rashford has been turned up, has been picked for the England squad. Harry Maguire and Marcus Rashford are the only 2 England players called up. Obviously, Luke Shaw's injured. Kobe Mainoo didn't get a call-up, but Rashford is in the squad. A few people have questioned whether Rashford should be in the squad. What are your thoughts? I'm going to do a quick poll on this, and if you're not watching live, then by all means get your comments in. Should Rashford be called up for England? Let's get that going. Should Rashford be called up for England? Yes or no? Well, the answer is yes, he has. Look, I don't really care. I'd pick him for England and take him to the Euros because he offers something different off the bench for 20 minutes. There's not many people like Rashford who have that sort of explosive pace. Should he be picked for England? Probably not. He's been below par this season, and surely there are better attackers available. Raheem Sterling would probably be one. Not that he's had a good season for Chelsea, but I think he's had a better season than Rashford. There are probably other players that deserve to be picked over him. But from a purely selfish point of view, I'm glad he's been called up for 2 reasons. One, this is a player that clearly body language is not right, who really seems to enjoy playing for England. So, you know, if there is some sort of mental block with Rashford and football, then going away for 2 weeks with England, where he seems to be very happy, could have a knock-on effect. On top of that, going away with England and maybe scoring a goal or 2 and keeping his rhythm going could have a knock-on effect for Manchester United as well. And also, I suppose a third point, if he goes with that England camp and watches everybody else and they're performing better than him and comes away from it going, I could miss out on the Euros, we might get, you know, what some might class as selfish but will be beneficial for us. Rashford might suddenly think, you know, I'm way down the pecking order in the Euros. I need to go and perform well. So, yeah, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing for Manchester United, and I think it's hopefully a good thing for Rashford. Yeah, I suppose you've always got the concern of injury, but you know, those things can happen. Imagine picking Henderson. Some people wanted Southgate. Yeah, Jordan Henderson got picked, didn't he? Which is just incredible. James Ward-Prowse, I mean, what's he done wrong? And there's probably a few others as well. Ross Barkley, exactly. There's a few others there. Gems is at the England-Belgium game. £45 had to pay for parking. You've been robbed, Gems. There's somebody in the chat who probably lives near that ground who said you could have parked on my drive for free. Makish says, yeah, we don't want to knock his confidence anymore. And Focus says, what's your opinion on the PSG Marcus Rashford saga? I don't think it's true. I don't think it's true. I spoke about that last night. Branthwaite's been called up for England as well, which is interesting, of course. England play Brazil a week on Saturday, Taylor says, and they're very excited. Yeah, we're doing a watch-along on that on Thursday. Also, update on Dan Ashworth. This is coming on from a northern correspondent, and obviously Newcastle are up north. Basically, they're saying that there's an amicable conversation going on between Newcastle's CEO and Dan Ashworth. You know, there's not been a fallout there, and they're eager to get it moved along around the compensation. Newcastle, funnily enough, are heavily linked to Paul Mitchell, so they could have their director of football in very, very quickly. I mean, honestly, I would have been very happy with Paul Mitchell. Dan Ashworth, I'm very happy with. I don't see the differential between the two. I think Paul Mitchell's CV is really, really good. I think Dan Ashworth's CV is very, very good. In some ways, you could say Paul Mitchell is more attractive because he's free and he's actually been to Leipzig and Monaco, whereas Ashworth is very British central around England, Brighton, and Newcastle. But the interesting thing is, Newcastle could appoint Paul Mitchell next week and he starts the job because he's available. We then get Dan Ashworth, who we have to pay for, and doesn't start the job till after the summer. So that's the thing for me. I just want it to get sorted out, and I want to know when we're getting him, because I find it incredible that we're going into such a big summer transfer window and our big director of football won't be there for it. So look, hopefully the end is in sight. Apparently there's amicable conversations going on, and hopefully we'll get to the end of that very, very soon. Also, Simon Stone tweeted about Jadon Sancho today as well, following on from Fabrizio Romano yesterday, basically saying that Dortmund are going to exhaust all options to try and keep Jadon Sancho at Dortmund. We know that Jadon Sancho wants to stay there, so Dortmund are going to try and exhaust all options to keep him there. Which is encouraging, because he's really, really happy there. They've got a good player there who performs for them there. I just don't know how they're going to do it. I mean, it's a shame we've paid the transfer fee, because maybe they could have just said, you don't need to pay us anymore. But I think we have paid it all by now. I just don't know how they're going to cover his wages. He's on 300 grand a week, apparently, and Dortmund just cannot afford that. So I don't know how it's going to work, but I suppose it's good that we've got a player that wants him. We've got a club that wants him. Yeah, interesting. Do you think Kamwala can step up next year? I've been very impressed with him so far. He's a physical lad, and he's strong, and he seems confident on the ball, and he can also play at right back, says Astro Boy. Look, I think that when it comes to young players, Erik ten Hag has already said it, that if you're good enough, you're old enough, and that's... Kamwala probably has been thrown in a little bit premature because of the problems that we've got. Is he going to go on loan in the summer? Are we going to buy 2 centre-backs? It'll be very interesting to see how that pans out. But, it'd be great if we did have another young player coming through. There's no doubt about that. It's either we will see bright red or dark red at the end of the game, says Brian. Well, remember, it's a cup game. There's no replay. It gets solved on Sunday afternoon. And I'm massively excited about this one. As soon as the draw came out, I was excited about it. And I'm really excited about it now. I just can't wait for it. Can't wait. Man United against Liverpool is a gift. It's stressful. It's exciting. It matters. And I'm really looking forward to it. They're a good team. But thankfully, when I look at that team on my left, that's not a great Man United side. I wouldn't even say it's a good Man United side. It's got too many holes in it at the back. But it's a team that's capable, if everybody pulls together. Everyone's got to put in a 7 or an 8 out of 10. You know, we can't have any 5 or 6s again. And that's been the problem. Here's a question for you. When was the last time Man United had a game where 9 or 10 players played above average? And it's tough. It's a tough one, because I think maybe Wolves away, but we ended up in the last 20 minutes having to make a few subs, didn't we? So very rare, but you break the mold. You've got to do it on Sunday. We can't carry a couple of players or any, you can't. They've got to be absolutely on it on Sunday. And look, we're up for it, so hopefully they're up for it as well. Don't forget, 8 o'clock show tonight on the United Stand. Looking forward to that. And as I said, Creating a Monster, the story of football fan channels. Me and Loz from the Kickoff sit down and did a video today going through all of that. And there's some nice little tidbits on the United Stand, specifically around its future. And just go and watch it. It's very interesting. And I think I explain why I'm in that position of thinking about the next step and why I think that needs to happen. So check it out. A lot of people have enjoyed it. It's something to listen to. Go for a walk, whatever. Links in the live chat, or just search out Mark Goldbridge, the story of football YouTube. I'll speak to you all later. Take care and stay safe.